Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. OK, just before the break, I was talking to the fabulous Julian Clary. He's now in the audience looking for potential husband material. Julian, has anyone caught your eye?
I'm going to slip along here, if you don't mind. I can smell the fear, Jonathan.
I can understand why they'd be nervous. Anyone catch your eye right now?
Are you two a couple?
No.
No. What's your name?
It's Aiden.
Aiden?
Yes.
What do you do?
I'm a project manager for a small market intelligence company.
Let's not waste our time. Oh, I say, look, a nice bald man. Who are you?
Harish.
You've got a lovely head of skin. Could you stand up and chat to me? Now then. Hi.
Hi.
You look terrified.
Yeah, I am, yeah.
I think you're in. Here's a question for you. What L is essential for a happy marriage?
Love.
Lubricant.
OK, well...
Lovely through the eyes.
I think you're finding some good potential catches out there. We'll check in with Julian a bit later on. Let's get my next guests out. They are many things. Actors, songwriters, but for most of us, they will always be part of the best pop act ever to wear berets, tartan cloaks and leg warmers. From Spandau Ballet, it's Gary and Martin Kemp. Spring in your step. Gary, Martin, great to see you. Good to see you, boys. Gary and Martin Kemp, ladies and gentlemen. I'm excited to see you again. It's lovely. You look in great shape. You look in great shape. You're 51 and 53, is that right?
I'm 53, yeah.
51, 53, that's right,
wow,
yeah.
Congratulations. Well, you look fabulous. You really are.
Well, we spent so long abusing ourselves, I think. Now we're making up for it, you know.
Pickled.
Pickled you are. And so, but you guys have stayed pretty close all through, because, you know, I'm sure you know, they share the name Kemp, which makes them brothers. And so, but you survived being in a band and have actually stayed close and stayed friendly.
Yeah, I mean, Gary and I, we've had a great relationship. I think partially because we're very different people. We have very different personalities. And we both know that, and we both know our strong areas and our weak areas. Yeah. And so we don't really tread on each other's toes.
Okay.
Yeah, I grew up with sort of dulcimers and guitars on my wall, and he had pictures of Bruce Lee. And I was scared of him, and he wasn't scared of me.
So you were the musician from day one, and you were more of a sporty kid?
Yeah, I think if Gary had come home one day and said, I've just had a trial for Arsenal and I'm playing for the first 11, I would have been really upset with him.
Yeah.
But that sort of thing never happened.
But here's a weird thing I didn't notice, because when I first read this, I thought you must be twins, because you were born with one kidney.
One functioning kidney,
Oh, I
that's
see.
right.
And you were born with three.
Three?
Yeah.
And you're better looking than him as well. So you're just rubbing it in, really, aren't you?
Well, listen, I'm carrying
Gary,
it for
but you know
him,
it's true.
If he ever needs the other one, I'll give it to him.
It's good for weight, you know, weight loss. Climbing up hills on my bike, yeah.
So you have... that's a weird thing. Do you have
weird thing.
Where is the third one? Can we have a look at it?
It's floating somewhere.
It's just floating around inside.
I mean, I love my mum. We were talking to her once about smoking, and you know, because she used to smoke when she was alive, and she said all that nonsense about smoking through pregnancy. I smoked through pregnancy, and look at you two. One kidney, three kidneys, and a brain tumour.
OK, but fortunately, you're through that, and the kidneys are still working for both of you, even if they're in an odd kind of configuration. When the last time I spoke to the boys, they'd just come back with Spandau, and I never thought that would happen, because there was a period of some bad feeling and some kind of fallout, and then you managed to patch it up with the whole band. You were back bigger than ever. Those huge gigs, one at the O2, I mean, that must have been a great feeling.
3 at the O2, yeah.
Three at the O2. And there's now more to come. You've now got more kind of Spandau events lined up, is that right?
Yeah, we are currently working on a film, and it's a documentary for the cinema. It's called Soul Boys of the Western World, and a book, and that'll be out next year, and I pretty much guarantee we're going to do it again next year.
So you're going to tour again?
I hope so. I hope so. I really do. I mean, it was an amazing year. You know, I think I've never laughed as much, belly laughed as much in my whole life as that year. And it was just a great time, because you got to imagine, you know, for 15 years, it was like carrying this monkey on your back, you know, this argument with your best friends. And everywhere you went, you didn't want to bump into them in case they were there. And so just that time of being able to take that away, and that worry and that stress away, was just fantastic. and get to know them again.
And how was it on the road now? Because presumably you're all being a bit old and a bit more sensible, perhaps. I guess it was a quieter kind of experience.
It was different. It was very different because, you know, before it was all about what was going to happen after the gig, you know, at the party. And this year it was, last 3 years ago, it was all about the show, which I really enjoyed.
Yeah, the dressing room. The dressing room was fantastic, actually. I mean, there seems to be less tension. You know, we weren't worried about the sales of the last album. You know, it was kind of stuff that had already been proven, and the reactions were always good. But you know, I think we're all the way within a few days. We'd all sort of settled back into our normal selves. You know, jokes that were totally puerile and juvenile that no one else would ever understand. You know, sort of 45 minutes of Tony in his underpants with a big glass of red wine in his hand, you know.
What's that about? This is part of the show?
It's part of it's how gentlemen relax, I think, you know.
So he strips down to his pants after the show?
He likes a shower after the show. And
well,
then
that's
you know, and he might spend a little bit of time.
He likes a shower before and after the show.
So hold it, so he's just sitting there in his underpants?
Yeah, we all do. We all come off
picturing it
stage.
rather-
You're all soaking wet and
Why didn't you just go
down.
back to your hotel rooms?
It's called bonding.
So you like to sit around in your pants chatting about the gig?
Well, we have a few glasses of champagne.
This is one of the weirdest
and a
things
chat.
I've ever heard in my life. And so, will this be in the film, the whole pants after the show experience? Access all areas?
If there was ever a secret camera in there, it will be in the film, yeah.
But that's nice that you're that relaxed with each other.
It was so fantastic. I can't tell you, it was kind of just to have that year of getting your best friends back together was just so lovely.
That's a nice thing.
I would say it was the best year of my life.
I would dream quite a lot about, you know, because what I went on with you know, me and Tony and, you know, the court case, and I would have, you know, I dreamt for 10 years of meeting him, and it would either be good or bad resolution. And to actually get that over, I remember meeting him in a pub for the first time and since the court case, and we got a bit off our chests, and then he just raised a glass and he said, "That's it, it's over." And we got on better than ever.
And then he stripped to his pants and
He stripped to his pants, but it was his beer I was drinking. That was the
that was the deal closer. OK, the guys are back on TV. I mean, you've seen them as actors, and The Craze was the big film for you guys. And as a result of that, I guess that's what's led to your latest TV project.
Yeah, in a way, it's the same kind of area. The new project is really interesting. It's kind of what it's about is the history of gangland Britain, and we go to several different cities around the country, and Gary will look at the historical side of a gang that used to control that area, and I'll look at the gang that controls it now.
So you look at the past and the present.
Yeah. Originally, I said, I'm only going to do dead people.
Yeah. So you were fearful
Yeah.
of
He
retribution.
bottled out, Jonathan.
Slightly fearful of
So
retribution.
you're slightly the braver one?
Yeah.
Or the more stupid one?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I couldn't work out which. But
OK, let's have a look at a clip. We have a look at a clip. This is from Gangs of Britain. It's on Sunday nights, is that right?
Sunday night's Crime and Investigation channel.
9 p.m, starting on the 21st of April. Have a look at this. Pretty gritty. I mean, it's in that.
it's a bit like Sunday Night Call the Midwife.
Yeah. So yeah, it's not called The Midwife or Downton Abbey. It's a different kind of. People always had a bit grittier on a Sunday night. But I guess there is a risk if you're going out and talking about real gangs that you could upset some people. How do you guard against that?
At the time, to be honest, you don't think about it. If you're doing your job and somebody says, this is the area, these are the people we're going to talk to, the more dangerous the person, the more you want to do it, to be honest.
And there was, I was reading there was one moment where you were speaking to a surgeon in Glasgow who has to fix a lot of these young men who find themselves in these violent situations, and it was difficult for you.
Oh, she showed me a piece of CCTV footage that was just awful. It was a piece of gang violence that happened outside of a nightclub, and it was just about passer-by being caught in the middle of it, and it just frightened the life out of me because my boy's 20, he uses those type of nightclubs, and he could have got caught in the middle of it as well. And it kind of hits home.
Yeah.
It was just probably the worst piece of film I've ever seen in my life. And it was actually so disturbing it couldn't be included into the show.
Really each show's about a city. That's the first episode's about Glasgow, and then we Liverpool, Manchester, London. There's a couple of shows in London, Birmingham, etc. And so really looking at how a city is sort of develops and changes, or does it? Compare and contrast between the past and the present. And if
Kind of like Who Do You Think You Are, but for gangs.
Yeah.
Do you miss doing EastEnders? Because I was under the impression when you left they were going to keep the door open for Steve to come back in. And then...
I was under that impression as well. And I remember I went in one day and I told him that I'd done 3.5 years there. And
he was a popular character.
Yeah, Steve Owen, he was a popular character. And I did 3.5 years. So I thought time was up to move on, you know. I went in and I told him and I said, I'm going to move on. And they said, great, you know, we keep the door open for you. We never get rid of the big characters. So I thought, oh, that's great. You know, got something to go back to. And then the next day I went in and they called me back into the office and they said, Martin, where are you going? And I said, ITV.
Uh-oh.
2 weeks later I went in, read the script, Steve Owen, blown up.
So
just a warning.
Let that be a lesson to you, mate.
Don't worry, I blew myself up. Don't worry about that. Well, that's a shame, though. It's
coming back as a zombie.
Yeah.
Well, it's a shame. Yeah, he was a great character. But listen, I had some great fun. In fact, I would say, David, 3.5 years, it was probably the best thing I've ever done.
Yeah. Well, look, I hope to see you touring again next year. I'd love to see Spandau back on the road. I don't know if you have concrete plans yet. But
I would like to.
Yeah, it'd be great. And I would like, ideally, to get the chance to come backstage and see Tony in his underpants. I think you should maybe...
Bring your own and get comfortable.
Look, you have a big screen behind you on the stage. Why don't you just project that at the end of the gig? Because, you know, it's like at the end of the party, you don't know how to get people out of your house. That would do it, OK? Do that. You'd never see the O2 empty quicker than a shot of Tony Hadley on a giant screen in his pants drinking red wine.
He's had him since the 70s, too.
It's great to see you both again. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in saying thank you to Gary and Martin Kemp. Good luck with the show, guys. Good luck. OK, stick around because after the break I'll be joined by the fabulous John Sim and we've got music from Suede, so don't go away.